started. Number first is sovereign. Sovereign implies that India is neither a dependency nor a dominion of any other nation but an independent state. There is no authority above it, and it is free to conduct its own affairs, both internal and external. Though in 1949 India declared the continuation of her full membership of the Commonwealth of Nations and accepted the British Crown as the head of the Commonwealth, this extra constitutional declaration doesn't affect India's sovereignty in any manner. Further, India's membership of the United Nations organization also in no way constitutes a limitation on her sovereignty. Being a sovereign state, India can either acquire a foreign territory or cede a part of its territory in favor of a foreign state. So this whole concept means that इंडिया एक डिपेंडेंसी है, वो किसी भी नेशन पे डिपेंडेंट नहीं है, वो एक इंडिपेंडेंट कंट्री है. दैट इज़ वाई देर इज़ नो अथॉरिटी अबव इट एंड इट इज़ फ्री टू कंडक्ट इट्स ओन अफेयर, बोथ इंटरनल एंड एक्सटर्नल एज वेल. हमारे ऊपर किसी की भी अथॉरिटी नहीं है. यू नो, वी ऑफन थिंक दैट इंडिया इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ यूनाइटेड नेशंस, सो देयर मस्ट बी द यूनाइटेड नेशंस का कुछ अथॉरिटी होगा इंडिया पे. दिस इज़ एब्सोल्युटली नॉट ट्रू. The United Nations organization in no way constitutes a limitation on our sovereignty, and India acquire भी कर सकता है foreign territory और किसी भी foreign state को अपना part भी दे सकता है. Being a sovereign state, India can either acquire a foreign territory or cede a part of its territory in favor of a foreign state. Next is socialist. Socialist, even before the term was added by 42nd Amendment Act 1976, the Constitution had a socialist content in the form of certain directive principles of state policy. In other words, what was implicit in the Constitution has now been made explicit. Moreover, the Congress Party itself adopted a resolution to establish a socialist patron of society in its Awadi session as early as in 1955 and took measures accordingly. Notably, Indian brand of socialism is a democratic socialism and not a communist socialism, also known as state socialism, which involves the nationalism of all means of production, distribution, and the abolition of private property. Democratic socialism, on the other hand, holds faith in a mixed economy where both public and private sector coexist side by side. As the Supreme Court says, democratic socialism is a blend of Marxism and Gandhism, leaning heavily towards Gandhian socialism. The new economic policy 1991 of liberalization, privatization and globalization has, however, diluted the socialist credentials of the Indian state. So this means that सबसे पहले तो socialist जो टर्म है वो 42nd अमेंडमेंट एक्ट से आया गया 1976 से, बट दैट डजंट मीन कि उससे पहले हमारे पास ये वर्ड नहीं था. हमारे पास था, बट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी. ऑलराइट. एंड मोर ओवर, द कांग्रेस पार्टी इटसेल्फ अडॉप्टेड अ रेजोल्यूशन टू एस्टैब्लिश अ सोशलिस्टिक पैटर्न ऑफ सोसाइटी, वो भी आबादी सेशन में इन अर्ली 1955. Second says Indian brand of socialism is a democratic socialism, not a communist socialism, also known as state socialism, जो involve करता है nationalism of all means of production, distribution and the abolition of private property. This line means हर चीज़ में government rules बनाती है, हर चीज़ में nationalize करती है, क्या production होगा, कितनी distribution होगी, कब होगी, कैसे होगी. So that means by all means of production and distribution and the abolition of private property. Democratic socialism हम उसको कहते हैं जो एक दोनों public and private sector को coexist करे side by side. And as the Supreme Court says, democratic socialism जो है वो एक blend है Marxism का और Gandhism का, but ये ज़्यादा favor करता है Gandhian socialism को. Next is secular. The term secular was added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. However, as the Supreme Court said in 1974, although the word secular state was not expressed mentioned in the Constitution, there can be no doubt Constitution makers wants to establish such a state accordingly. Articles 25 and 28, guaranteeing the fundamental right to freedom of religion, have been included in the Constitution. This paragraph means that earlier secular was not added in our Constitution and it was added by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. पहले secular word हमारे Constitution में नहीं था, ये 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act से add हुआ है 1976. Next is the Indian Constitution embodied the positive concept of secularism that all religions in our country, irrespective of their strength, have the same status and support from the state. It doesn't matter कि वो कितने लोग हैं या क्या फॉलो करना चाहते हैं या क्या उनका स्ट्रेंथ है. All religions in our country have the same status and support from the state. Number third is a democratic polity as stipulated in the preamble is based on the policy on the doctrine of popular sovereignty, that is possession of supreme power by the people. Next is democratic. Democracy is of two types, direct and indirect. In direct democracy, people exercise their supreme power directly as in case in Switzerland. There are four devices of direct democracy, namely referendum, initiative, recall, and plebiscite. Now, plebiscite means that a vote by the people of an entire country or district to decide on some issue such as choice of a ruler or government, option for independence, or annexation by another power, or a question of national policy. Basically, in simple words, for example, Australia में plebiscite को, or it is also known as advisory referendum, and is used to decide a national question that doesn't affect the constitution. So this is direct democracy. Indirect democracy, on the other hand, representatives elected by the people exercise their supreme power and thus carry on the government and make the laws. This type of democracy is also called representative democracy, and it is of two types, parliamentary and presidential. हमारे संविधान में parliamentary form of government है, all right, and the Indian Constitution representative parliamentary democracy, under which the executive is responsible to the legislature for all its policy and actions, universal adult franchise, periodic elections, rule of law, independence of judiciary, and absence of discrimination on certain grounds are the manifestations of the democratic character of the Indian polity. इसका ये मतलब है, as you all are familiar that हमारे जो constitution है उसको तीन भागों में divide किया गया. Number one is executive, number two is judiciary, and number third is legislator. Judiciary, executive, legislator. You all are familiar with these, कैसे हमारे संविधान को इन तीन भागों में डिवाइड किया गया है, and क्यों डिवाइड किया गया है, ताकि executive is responsible to the legislator for all its policy and हर कोई subvert नहीं कर सकता. If इन तीनों में से कोई भी गलती करता है, one can check upon it. So that's why इसीलिए इनको 3 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड किया गया. ऑल्सो आप सबको पता है दैट द नॉमिनल हेड ऑफ द कंट्री इज प्रेजिडेंट एंड द रियल हेड ऑफ द कंट्री इज प्राइम मिनिस्टर, एंड दैट इज नोन एज पार्लियामेंट्री फॉर्म ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. सो द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन representative parliamentary democracy, under which executive is responsible to the legislature for all its policy and actions, universal adult franchise, periodic elections, rule of law, independence of judiciary, absence of discrimination on certain grounds are the manifestations of the democratic character of the Indian polity. Now, moving on to republic. A democratic republic can be classified into two categories, monarchy and republic. In a monarchy, the head of the state, usually king or queen, enjoys a hereditary position, that is, he comes into office through succession, for example, Britain. In a republic, on the other hand, is always elected directly or indirectly for a fixed period of 5 years. Basically, the word monarchy means it is basically a political system in which सबसे ज़्यादा अथॉरिटी एक मोनार्क के पास होती है, जो एक इंडिविजुअल रूलर होता है और फंक्शन करता है एज द हेड ऑफ द स्टेट. It is a political system in which supreme authority is vested in the monarch and an individual ruler who function as the head of the state. And it typically acts as a political administrative organization और एक social group of nobility का उसको माना जाता है, and that is known as court society. So this is the meaning of monarch. And next is a republic, which also means two more things. One, vesting of political sovereignty in the people, that not a single individual like a king. Second, the absence of any privileged class, and hence all public offices being open to every citizen without any discriminations. And like when we were talking about monarchy, this simply means that कि जब एक किंग आता है या कोई क्वीन आती है, फिर वो चला जाता है एंड उसके जगह कोई दूसरा आता है, राइट, यूजुअली अ सक्सेसर. बट इन केस ऑफ रिपब्लिक, हेड ऑफ द स्टेट जो है वो इलेक्टेड होता है डायरेक्टली या फिर इनडायरेक्टली फॉर अ फिक्स्ड पीरियड. सो जो प्रियम्बल में रिपब्लिक इंडिकेट करता है वो यही इंडिकेट करता है that India has an elected head called the president, elected indirectly for a fixed period of 5 years. हमारे प्रियम्बल में जो रिपब्लिक वर्ड यूज हुआ है उसका मतलब ही यही है कि हमारा इलेक्टेड हेड, जो नॉमिनल हेड है कंट्री का, वो हमेशा प्रेसिडेंट रहेगा, इलेक्टेड इनडायरेक्टली फॉर ए फिक्स पीरियड ऑफ 5 years. Next, republic also means two more things. Vesting of political sovereignty in the people, not in a single individual like a king. This is a very very important line, and this indicates कि हमारे preamble में क्यों रिपब्लिक वर्ड यूज हुआ गया है. ये इसीलिए ही हुआ गया है क्योंकि पब्लिक सोवेरेनिटी जो है हमारे देश के लोगों की, वो एक सिंगल इंडिविजुअल के हाथ में नहीं है, वो हर के हाथ में है, हर एक लोगों के हाथ में है. नॉट अ सिंगल इंडिविजुअल लाइक अ किंग. एंड ऑल्सो all public offices being open to every citizen without any discrimination, the absence of any privileged class. इसका मतलब यही है कि सारे पब्लिक ऑफिसेज हर एक सिटीजन के लिए ओपन रहेंगे विदाउट एनी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. कोई भेदभाव नहीं किया जाएगा, वेदर सर्टन सम पीपल बिलोंग टू अ सर्टन रिलीजन, इट डजेंट मैटर. ऑल पब्लिक ऑफिसेज ओपन रहेंगे टू एवरी सिटीजन विदाउट एनी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. Justice. The term justice in the preamble embraces three distinct forms. पहला social, दूसरा economical and तीसरा political. Basically social justice denote करता है equal treatment सभी citizen का, irrespective of their caste, उनका क्या है, color क्या है, race क्या है, religion क्या है, और कोई भी privileged class कुछ भी हो, it doesn't matter. So social justice हर एक citizen को equal treatment देता है. Also being extended to any particular society and improvement in the conditions of backward classes, SCs, STs and OBCs and women. Third is economic justice denotes the non-discrimination between two people on the basis of economic factors. ये involve करता है elimination, wealth, इनकम और प्रॉपर्टी में. बेसिकली इरेडिकेट करता है ये सब चीज़ें. अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस एंड इकोनॉमिक जस्टिस डिनोट्स व्हाट इज नोन एज डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस. देन कम्स पॉलिटिकल जस्टिस विच इम्प्लाइज ऑल सिटीजन शुड हैव इक्वल पॉलिटिकल राइट्स. हर एक सिटीजन को इक्वल ही पॉलिटिकल राइट देना चाहिए. इट डजेंट मैटर वो कहाँ से हैं या किधर से आए हैं या क्या रिलीजन है उनका. दे मस्ट have equal access to all political offices and equal voice in the government, because प्रियम्बल बनाया ही इसलिए गया, ये जस्टिस वर्ड यूज़ हुआ ही इसलिए है कि हर एक सिटीज़न को वो वोट कर सके, वो पॉलिटिकल ऑफिस भी उसी तरह यूज़ कर सके और अपनी आवाज़ खुद गवर्नमेंट चूज़ करे, इसीलिए पॉलिटिकल जस्टिस यूज़ किया गया है। अब द आइडियल ऑफ जस्टिस और सोशल, इकोनॉमिक एंड पॉलिटिकल, ये जो वर्ड्स हैं ये हमने रशियन रेवोल्यूशन से लिए 1917 में। द आइडियल ऑफ जस्टिस, social, economic and political has been taken from the Russian Revolution. Next come liberty. The term liberty means absence of restraints on the activities of individuals and at the same time providing opportunities for the development of individual personality. Preamble basically secure करता है सारे citizens का एक liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship through their fundamental rights which are enforceable in the court of law in case of violation. कोई भी आपसे आपके फंडामेंटल राइट्स नहीं छीन सकता, वेदर आपका कोई दोस्त हो या कुछ भी हो या कोई गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसर हो। आपको जो फंडामेंटल राइट्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रियम्बल में लिखे हैं, संविधान ने बताए हैं, वो कोई भी छीन नहीं सकता। और अगर कोई उन चीज़ों को फॉलो नहीं कर रहा है, देन इन केस ऑफ वायलेशन उनको पनिश किया जाता है। एंड दैट इज़ वाई हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स बनाए गए हैं और लिबर्टी को प्रियम्बल में डाला गया है। As elaborated in the preamble, is very essential for the successful functioning of the Indian democratic system. However, liberty doesn't mean license to do what one likes and has to enjoy it within the limitation mentioned in the constitution itself. इस लाइन का ये मतलब है कि आपको अपने फंडामेंटल राइट्स में रहकर ही वो एक्सरसाइज करने हैं। इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप नेशनल फ्लैग को डिसरिस्पेक्ट कर रहे हो और आप बिना वजह पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी खराब कर रहे हो। लिबर्टी डजंट कवर ऑल दिस, सो यू हैव टू बी एक्सरसाइजिंग योर फंडामेंटल राइट्स इन सम लिमिटेशन। जैसे गवर्नमेंट को भी लिमिटेशन है कि वो आपसे क्या क्या आपको बोल सकते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, दे कैनॉट टेल यू व्हाट टू वेयर और व्हाट टू स्पीक। दैट इज़ वाई देयर इज़ लिबर्टी ऑफ थॉट एंड एक्सप्रेशन। एंड ऑल्सो उनके पास ये लिमिटेशन है कि वो आपसे आर्टिकल 19, 20, 21 नहीं छीन सकते, राइट टू लाइफ, और राइट दे कैनॉट डू दिस। सो दैट इज़ वाई आपसे भी वो लिमिट कर रहे हैं दैट यू कैनॉट डू वट यू वॉन्ट, you cannot disrespect the national flag. It has to be enjoyed within the limitation which is mentioned in the constitution itself. The ideals of liberty, equality and fraternity in our preamble have been taken from the French Revolution. ये French Revolution से लिया गया है 1789 and 1799 से. Next is equality. The term equality means absence of special privileges to any section of the society and the provision of adequate opportunities for all individuals without any discrimination. Preamble secure करता है सभी citizens को कि वो उनको equal opportunities दे, men हो, women हो, कोई भी हो, हर एक को। इसलिए वो सिविक, पॉलिटिकल और इकोनॉमिक इक्वालिटी प्रोवाइड करता है। सिविक इक्वालिटी में इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ, prohibition on discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, equality of opportunity in matters of public employment, abolition of untouchability, abolition of titles. And there are two provisions in the constitution that seek to achieve political equality. One, no person is to be declared ineligible for inclusion in electoral rolls on the grounds of religion, race, caste or sex. जैसे कि मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया कि किसी से भी हम पॉलिटिकल राइट्स नहीं छीन सकते, सबको पब्लिक गवर्नमेंट ऑफिसेज सब कुछ वो कर सकते हैं यूज़, हम नहीं उनसे छीन सकते, ये उनका एक राइट है और हम प्रियम्बल के थ्रू उनको इक्वालिटी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं. सेकेंड इज टू इलेक्शंस टू लोकसभा द स्टेट असेंबलीज टू बी ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ adult suffrage, Article 326. And directive principles of state policy, Article 39, secures to men and women equal right to an adequate means of livelihood and equal pay for equal work. women को भी और men को भी equal pay और equal work मिलना चाहिए irrespective of their gender. इसमें यही बताया गया. And Next is fraternity. Fraternity means a sense of brotherhood. The Constitution promotes this feeling of fraternity by the system of single citizenship. Also, the fundamental duties, Article 51A, say that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India, transcending religious, linguistic, regional, or sectional diversities. Whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Hindu, whether you are a Sikh, there must be a harmony and a spirit of common brotherhood amongst all the people of India. Preamble declare करता है कि fraternity assure करती हैं दो चीज़ें. पहला कि dignity of the individual and दूसरा unity and integrity of the nation. Integrity word amended हुआ है 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act से और कुछ प्रोविजंस फंडामेंटल राइट्स और डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी में भी इंश्योर करे गए हैं दैट it fundamental duties also protect the dignity of women by stating that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women, and also makes it the duty of every citizen of India to uphold, protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. That every citizen of India must protect the dignity of women, they must respect women. सो ये सब चीज़ें डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी और फंडामेंटल राइट्स में दी गई. नेक्स्ट आप सबके लिए क्वेश्चन है, इकोनॉमिक जस्टिस एज वन ऑफ द objectives of the Indian Constitution has been provided in A. The Preamble and Fundamental Rights, B. The Preamble and Directive Principles of State Policy, C. Fundamental Rights and Directive Principles of State Policy, D. None of the above. So this was all about keywords in the preamble. Kindly like, share and subscribe Officers in the Making. And I know हर एक का सपना होता है लबासना जाना, और I just want to say that please don't give up. Someday it is all going to be worth it. So keep the consistency, please keep going. Thank you. Jai Hind.